Hello guys, welcome back to the Laker family. Boy, do I miss you guys. It's been a long, grueling month and a half or so dealing with this big pandemic, coronavirus, that's been going around, and it's been affecting a lot of things, obviously. Things such as sports and people's livelihoods, jobs, health, even people dying. So sports really comes second. It's on the back burner of all of this, as we are in the midst of bad times right now, down times right now, and so it's important to try to stay uplifted, keep your spirits uplifted, because that has a lot to do with your health as well. Keeping yourself up spiritually in the mind, and just abiding by the rules, staying in as much as you can, and that way you won't be the ones affected by this coronavirus. I want to talk on a topic that's been kind of disturbing me, like something that it's kind of hitting reality for me as far as the Lakers and this 2020 season goes. I didn't really want to make too many videos because sports is important to us right now, but life and people's jobs and health, all that stuff comes first. But at the end of the day, sports does play a big part in people's lives, and sports can uplift people and during down times like that. What I want to speak on is the unfortunate situation that the Lakers are currently in, and it's a bit depressing to think about, especially if this comes to pass, if it ends up being true as far as the season being canceled. I'm still very optimistic about the season returning. That's just me. I just like to keep my hopes high because I love sports. I love the Lakers, and I so much want them to cap this great season off with a championship. And with Brian Windhorses coming out lately, and just talking about how the NBA is kind of preparing for the worst, as far as paying, the payment scheduling with the players. Are they going to pay them or not? Are they preparing to deal with the season that's canceled? And because that's never been done before or happened to the NBA, where a season is just completely canceled. So out of Brian Windhorse's mouth, he's saying they are really preparing for the worst, and that doesn't mean that they are going to cancel it, but in the back of their mind, it's almost like the further and further this thing gets pushed out, the more and more likely that it will get canceled. And guys, if that happens, that is the worst possible news, not just for NBA fans, but more so for Lakers fans. It's going to feel like the worst. See, this is going to feel even worse than those losing seasons we had these recent years, not making the playoffs and whatnot. It's going to, yeah, we did win close to 50 games this year, but for what? Like, what is that going to prove? Is anybody going to look back and say, good job, you get a cookie for winning 50 games, but with no championship? No, it's going to just be a washed, canceled season that it's going to be remembered by it's going to be forever remembered, the Corona canceled season. Not who had the best first or second record in the league. Nobody's going to care about that. And that is bad news. That's terrible news. And it hurts me as a Lakers fan because we were running on dang near all cylinders before this outbreak ended the season. And nobody was standing in our way. Other teams can fool themselves. Other fans can fool themselves thinking that they had a chance. They didn't. LeBron and Anthony Davis showed y'all when they want to and when they turned it up. Not even the Milwaukee Bucks, the Clippers, whoever was not going to beat us. And we proved that. Also ending the season with the best record in the West. And we were like gaining on the number one seed, which the Bucks had being in an easier conference. We were like right there on their toes. So we were gaining so much traction, and to not be able to cap it off with a championship and not be beaten by another NBA team because they had no chance to begin with, but to be taken out by Corona. So if we are taken out by Corona, Corona is really the one that got crowned the champion, not any other team, not the Lakers. So we definitely, I have no doubt in my mind we were going to win the championship. It's just the kryptonite, which is Corona, not no other team. Our kryptonite became the Corona. And that's very unfortunate because now we have to, if it is canceled, we're going to be living in a world where people are going to constantly say, no, you guys were not going to win anyway, or, just throwing all type of shots at LeBron because he didn't end up with another championship ring. That is like the worst. That's the worst for LeBron, and it's the worst for Lakers fans. And so you're going to have trolls from here on out just because they know that their team didn't have no possible chance in hell to beat you. They're going to use this Corona thing as an excuse to lie to themselves as their team was going to win or their team had the best shot to win the championship, when in all reality it wasn't. Because we ran through so many teams at the end of that stretch there. Top teams, beating them all, like just handily. Just showing everybody who had doubts to shut up and go in your corner because this is our year. And to have it just end like this, it would be horrible. It would be horrific. And that brings me into my other point. And I know some of you guys don't like me harping on it because when I first started this channel, I started it earlier this year. And if you go back and look at my second or third video labeled Brandon Ingram Balling, I talked about how the Lakers may have given up too much in that Anthony Davis trade. I'm not going to go into detail about that. You can go back to that video if you haven't watched it yet to go in depth, to see in depth what I was talking about. But I'm more so taking pieces from it, but taking it a little step further as far as, are we going to look back at that trade, if coronavirus does end this season, are we going to look back and look at that trade as very regrettable when we went through this whole season dominating and have nothing, no championship to show for it? You end the season with a LeBron James that's going to be a year older. You have Anthony Davis, free agency coming up. He can, which I don't think he's leaving, but he still has the option to look out into free agency if he chooses. The worst can happen, guys. The worst can happen from this. If Anthony Davis decides to leave, that already automatically just seals our fate as probably one of the horrible outcomes of that trade, and probably one of the worst outcomes for a Laker organization in franchise history, other than the Dwight Howard, Steve Nash situation, where it just went completely to the dumpster fire completely opposite of what we thought that team was going to be. This is going to top that if something like that was to happen this time. We would probably go into a longer drought. 6 years was long enough for Laker fan standards this past go round. But if something like that was to happen, LeBron gets a year older and is not as quite as good as he was this year, and then you have Anthony Davis looking out elsewhere, and for whatever reason, it just goes south. It's going to be all bad. And I hate to make a doom and gloom video like this, but I'm doing this to get people's mind prepared for basically that will be the inevitable if the corona takes us out. Not saying that Anthony Davis is going to leave, but the inevitable of we're going to be a year older and our chances are going to be slimmer from here on out. This year was basically our our little hot pocket to get it done. And if we don't, because I said in that video about trading our young core away, and did we give up way too much? I was speaking more along the terms of giving up way too much for Anthony Davis. If we didn't devalue the youth that we had, we wouldn't have to give up so much. Plus 3 future draft picks as well, including the number 4 pick that we had to give up this year. So this would be, I'm talking about a season that we gambled on, and we didn't even have a chance to get the win now, because obviously we traded away all those chips because we were in win now mode, and which is within the next 2 years we need a chip. So it's only going to get harder if we don't win a chip this year, because not only did from what I just mentioned about the LeBron getting older and whatnot, and Anthony Davis may possibly leave, it's the fact that the Warriors are going to be back. There's a meme going around, as you can see. I just thought, I normally just glance past stuff like this, but there's a little truth to it. With the Warriors, they made some fun about the Warriors did this on purpose to make this a wash season, and they'll be back next year. That way they can make it to their 6th straight final, and they'll have a top draft pick to add to the team, and things that they'll have Klay Thompson back, Draymond Green back, all that kind of stuff. But I normally blow stuff off like that, but there's a little truth to that. They're going to be back formidable next year. And that's just one more tough team that you have to worry about. Along with the Nets, with Kevin Durant coming back, Kyrie Irving coming back, and they're possibly looking to add a third star to that team come next year. You got the Nuggets. All they need is one more star piece. And then also teams that were not necessarily healthy, they have a chance to recoup and get healthy with this time off, or if the season canceled, they'll be healthy come next season to make it even tougher on the Lakers next year. I like the 76ers with Joel Embiid and all his nagging injuries, Ben Simmons and his back. They have time enough to regain their strength and continuity and add a piece here or there to their team and come back strong next year. The Clippers, with the nagging injuries that they have with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, this will benefit them more because they know they weren't going to win the chip. They might think they got a chance, but and deep down they know that they was not going to have a chance against the Lakers. But this break helps them recoup and get healthy and possibly tinker with that roster a bit more to make them more formidable next year. So it's only going to get harder, guys. It's only going to get harder. And to go back to that trade, another reason why it may go down as one of the most regrettable trades in history is with the season being a wash and if it gets canceled, we could have signed Anthony Davis this year as a free agent and just added him to the mix. And do you realize how formidable that Laker team would be, not only just for 1 or 2 years that we're pushing in all our chips in for now? I'm talking about this much. I'm sounding like LeBron James when he went to Miami. Not 5, not 6, not 7. I'm not playing. That's how dominant and of that long of a stretch the Lakers would have to wreak havoc over the league if we would have rolled with that roster and held serve and just signed Anthony Davis this year. And I told y'all in that video that I was just talking about with that I made, the third video I made, was we may look back at that trade and feel like it's gonna we gave up too much too soon, especially if we don't win a chip. But I had no idea that the corona was gonna stop us from winning a chip, which makes it even worse. So if you just take a step back and look at it, I know a lot of LeBron fans they get upset, you know, I'm not picking on y'all because we're all Laker family, but because it's not just y'all. There were some Laker fans as well that were pushing for that trade, pushing. They don't care who they gave up. They don't care. Which would have been somewhat justifiable if we ended up with a championship. But if we don't, it's terrible. I hate to break it. There's no other way to slice it. Because you got Lonzo Ball that we traded away, who was ascending before the season ended. 12 points he was averaging, was six rebounds. I forgot how many, maybe 7, 8 assists, something like that. Josh Hart averaging 9 points. Tough defender, as well as Lonzo Ball. Lonzo probably one of the top 2 or 3 point guard defenders in the league. Brandon Ingram, good defender, great scorer, averaging 24 points a game. To go along with all the rebounds and the assists that he's putting up. Those, imagine that, those 3, plus either Darius Garland or Jerry Culver, because those were the picks that we were going to end up with at that number 4 spot this past draft. Either one of those. I think Darius Garland is slightly averaging more points, 12 points, and Culver averaging 9 points. So if you were to take Green, who probably would be on this team, Danny Green, if we kept those our youth, Danny Green, Pope, and Rondo. Those 3 I know for a fact would not be able to be on this team if we were to retain those youth. We would easily go from what we're averaging 114 points a game. That automatically boosts you up to around 130, 137, 135, 137-ish. Now, it doesn't work like that. It's not 2K. I know that. But still, that's a big difference from the points that you would get from that trio versus the Danny Green, Rondo, and Pope. So you mean to tell me a team that can put up anywhere from 120 to 130 points a game nightly, and also the defense would be even more hellacious with that that youthful defense of Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram? Because you got to think about it. Danny Green has not been the defensive player of old this season. Bradley's probably been the best one defensively, and Pope, but Danny Green, no. So the difference in that is night and day. The difference is that Pope is a good defender, but he's not long enough to really bother players that a Brandon Ingram could bother. So it's a different type of defense. So you can only imagine a team like that for the next 7 to 10 years. And then you throw Anthony Davis into the mix, what that would have been. You can only dream now of what that could have been. And that would have been best case scenario for the Lakers, because if you would have ran it back, say if you would have ran it back with LeBron, obviously there would not be no Anthony Davis on this team if you kept the youth. But if you look at the Pelicans right now, who were injured half of the season, especially Zion, they're sitting at a record of 28 and they're sitting at a record of 28 and 36. Now you can't tell me if they were healthy that they wouldn't be in the 7th spot right now. So if you would have put LeBron on that team, they would easily be 4th, 5th seed, because that LeBron would give you 12 more wins at that point of the season. So you would be 40 and 24 in the mix with the Rockets and the Thunder right there. And the way things are going this year, the way the parity is going this year, we still would have a legitimate shot at a title. Yes, with that team. So you would put you would gamble basically on you would be betting on LeBron, and then another step, which the youth did take with Brandon Ingram and Lonzo and Josh Hart. You would be depending on the greatness of LeBron and the step that the youth made to give you maybe a 65% chance, a 60%, 65% chance of winning the championship. You keep that strong team together, and you throw Anthony Davis into the mix, and boom, you dominate for the next 10 years. Just that, it's that simple. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not nothing that I'm making up, nothing that I'm lying to y'all about. It's facts. And I told y'all, I hope that trade didn't come back to bite us in the you-know-what. And if the Corona wins, that is exactly what's gonna happen. And so basically, I'm just making this video to prepare y'all minds for that. I am still hoping for the best. I hope that we can get ahead of this coronavirus so we can get our sports, our NBA back. That way, we can justify that trade. That way, we can win the championship and prove to everybody that, show everybody LeBron's greatness and Anthony Davis' greatness and things of that nature. That's the positive side of it. But we also have to be ready for the negative, and if the negative happens, I don't even want to think about, oh my goodness. I mean, a year older LeBron, and then you have to think about what could the GM pull, like what type of rabbits can the GM pull out of the hat to keep the team young, youthful, and contention going forward with the Warriors, Clippers, Sixers, Bucks, without the draft picks that we lost, the little bit of cap space that we have. Yeah, we have a lot of guys on one-year deals, but you still have to pull a rabbit out of a hat to be able to afford a third star, to add to this team. Especially if Kuzma doesn't pan out, it's going to be tough. That's another factor. If Kuzma doesn't pan out into the player that we think he can be, that's another bad situation added to it. So again, I had to be doom and gloom, but I felt like this video was necessary and it had to be made for a lot of people that is it's not looking for, they're not woke yet. They're not seeing beyond this coronavirus and the effects that it has and what it may potentially have on the Lakers going forward. So I think, man, I did cover the bulk of everything. Let me see for something I may have got to touch base on. I think I got it, guys. I think I got it. But I mean, comment if it's something that is troubling you about this situation. Something that you may have heard, some good news somewhere or anything. Comment that down below, and also I want to hear y'all thoughts on what do y'all think about that trade, and should we had went ahead and just stuck it out with the youth. I know we're looking in hindsight now. There's nothing you can do to change it, but I want to see how many of y'all agree with that scenario. So with that being said, I'm glad to be back and have discussed anything Lakers with y'all, because I've been itching to get back and do this. I've been itching for anything NBA to talk about. And if anything else new comes up, I'll be the first to touch base down with y'all. And if y'all haven't joined yet, please do so. Like, share, subscribe, so y'all can be the first to get any top news notifications from me. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.